Hi, good evening Tobago, good evening Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean and the world at large. Welcome to this week's episode of Minority Report. I'm Ireland David, your host, and we are here yet again, another evening, another time where we come together and we share information, we discuss pertinent matters, we raise issues, we ask questions, and essentially represent the views of you, the listening public. I want to thank you this evening for tuning in with us. And as per usual, I always take the time and the opportunity to express the gratitude for making us one of the number one viewed current affairs program in Tobago on Tobago Updates Network. It has been quite a journey thus far, and I do continue to encourage you to stick with us, to tune in, to spread the word, to spread the quote-unquote good news of the Minority Report every time we come in and spend this time with you, because the information that we share here this evening and subsequent programs is not just women fancy. It is information that is pertinent to the development and the growth, the advancement of Tobago, and it is information that every single individual should be privy to. So I encourage you to always share the live link, tell a friend, and I'm certain that many of you do so because all of us, wherever we go in Tobago, people are saying we are watching the show, we are listening, we are hearing, people are making recommendations, they're giving suggestions, they're coming up with ideas, and the show has since evolved from just planning in studio or planning and producing a show to even more so on a wider scale, representing literally the views of many of you who log on during the week. So I want to say thank you for being a part of the Minority Report family. And I want to encourage you to continue recruiting persons, to continue, quote unquote, evangelizing people and bringing them on board and letting them become a part of this family. Everyone is welcomed, and we stay and stand with open arms to always invite and embrace those of you who join us and come into the light, so to speak. I want to say this evening, for those of you who are watching live, you can also view this depending on what platform you have access to. You can view the program on the Tobago Updates website, or you can view it on the Tobago Updates YouTube channel. Many of you log on to the Facebook page, which gives you the opportunity to share your comments and so on the live. But if you are subscribed to the Amplia Network, you can simply turn your television to channel 102, that's channel 102, and sit back in the comfort of your living room with your family, as many persons do, and enjoy the program, enjoy the information that we share, enjoy the conversation, and enjoy the updates that we bring here consistently every single week. Last week we had preempted our show to show that support to the political meeting, the conversations with the Prime Minister, I should say, which was last week Tuesday as well. A lot of meaningful discussions coming out of that particular session, and also many persons having the opportunity to ask questions, and that section was overloaded, because I think one thing that I can say about the public is that you are a very, very aware public now, and you're interested in what is taking place at the governance levels. And so the People's National Movement always creates the forum, not just to speak to the people, but to allow the people to speak back to the People's National Movement. And last week, Tuesday, was no different. And as we go along, you would find us creating the opportunities for everyone to be part even of those conversations, and we look forward to it even growing and becoming wider spread. So this evening, I want to take the opportunity to introduce my guests in studio with me, starting with my immediate right, Minority Councillor, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit, We had a very long meeting today. We are all very tired sometimes, but we have to come here and continue the work. Welcome this evening.
Thank you, Marlon. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Minority Report. Stay locked on. Remember to share the live. Special good evening to the Minority Leader. We are missing you in studio this evening. So share the live, share the live, share the live.
And to her immediate right is the co-host of the Minority Report, Senator Lawrence Hislop. Good to have you again.
Good evening, Marlon. Good evening, Councillor. Good evening, Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago. It is good to be here. I want to join the sentiments of the Minority Councillor and wish a special good evening to the Minority Leader, who is unavoidably absent this evening, but we are nonetheless going to have, I believe, a fantastic show. We, as usual, going to bring out the facts, bring the information to the public, and so let's get going.
Yes, thank you very much. One of the things that we always want persons to remember, even though it's been a journey thus far, we're just over 2 years in. The Minority Council has consistently gone to the House, Minority Leader and Minority Councillor, and presented the facts, asked the questions that are deemed necessary so that transparency or some measure of it can be attained and so on. But we never want to forget what were some of the things that this administration would have enunciated to the general public, the promises that were made, and so on. And one of the things in the news recently and buzzing around, even at the Chamber of Commerce level, is the issue of payments to contractors, which we continue to see a level of struggle with. Persons are still not yet with their full compensation after more than 2 years. And it came to me today, it came strongly to me what was said before the election. And so I want us to just get into this program this evening by, first of all, hearing a couple clips. And then we're going to go to a short interview to be able to draw the comparison of what was said then and what was said now. Mr. Director, could we play the first clip?
How would you allay the fears of individuals who are currently employed on contract under the present administration if they decide to choose the PDP as their party of choice? Now let me tell you something, You don't have to fear the PNM losing election, Because one of the things I will do as Chief Secretary is ensure that you don't lose your job. You don't lose your job because a PNM person will give you a contract. That's not how it's going to work with me at all. You are Tobagonian first and foremost. And on an island with 60,000 or less people, we don't have enough people to actually live on the island and do the kind of work we want to do on the island. So it makes no sense alienating people.
So folks, we that is part one of some very, very strong words and very convincing words. A very confident then candidate for the electoral district of Palativia Lansome Speyside. But he got even more confident as time passed. Let's play the second clip, Mr. Director.
Contractors are calling and complaining that they are not being paid for works done. And I want to assure you contractors that when PDP gets into office, we will honor contracts that you have with the THA, and we will pay you for the jobs that you have done, that you have dutifully done, even if we do not agree with the way those contracts were given out. You have done the jobs, we will pay you for the jobs that you have done.
Yet again, another very confident statement being made there by the then candidate for the electoral district of Palativia Lansome Speyside. And we all know the story, what transpired. But interestingly enough, the then candidate and now Chief Secretary was recently on an interview on another media house, and it was interesting what he had to say when asked the question. So I'll ask the director just to play that particular clip.
The update on the audit, any
Well,
development
well,
with regards to that?
we have completed the phases of the audit, the varying phases of the audit, and so we are moving to the litigation stage, litigation and payments commensurate with the audit stage, and that's why, true to my word, which was once the audit is completed, then we make payments.
Okay.
When the first phase of the audit was completed, we made payments to the 3 contractors that were involved. Second phase of the audit completed, we're making payments available to the second set of contractors involved. And I'm insistent that there needs to be litigation. You are talking about hundreds of millions being committed by the Tobago House of Assembly, being committed in the most improper manner, and certainly that has to be brought to bear, and it must be known that it should never happen again. It should not happen in this government and any future government again.
Now this is the same, oh no, let me rephrase that. Is this the same person that we heard in the 2 previous clips who spoke so confidently and went on to literally indicate, even if we don't agree with how the contracts were given out, what were the scope, whatever, we are going to pay you. Now we hear something totally different, and something's not even making sense as in commensurate with the audit findings. And Minority Council, I know you would have followed this issue for quite some time. This young man has absolutely no credibility whatsoever.
I am a bit confused, particularly with that last interview that we saw there in terms of payment to contractors based on the audit reports. So you're paying based on the audit report, and then based on the same audit report, you want to issue litigation to ensure that something doesn't happen again. But what is this something that you're speaking about? And if it is that it requires litigation, then why pay? If you think that you have a case that requires you to seek litigation, then it means that I don't think that you should pay for something that you think should not be paid for. You go litigate against it, and then
what?
It's just confusing to me in terms of the steps. And if it is that the audit is completed, where is the audit report that the THA taxpayers' funds were paid for? In a previous incarnation, I think was some reports that were done by the THA, where the Chief Secretary, well, back then he was an assemblyman on the minority side, and he was basically chiding the then Tobago House of Assembly for not producing a report that was done by the THA. Now you are sitting in the seat that you could do what you said that you should have done, and everything that the Chief Secretary, when he was on the minority side, said that he would have done, he has actually absconded.
Yes.
Because you said you will pay people in spite of how you felt about the contracts being issued. That came, an audit report was used to delay payments. Now the audit report is done. You are saying that you will pay people, but you're also saying that you will litigate.
Yeah.
So what will you litigate? What will you pay? What is the purpose of the litigation? What are the results of the final report? And how it is that it's not a bombshell as the preliminary report was. It's just a lot of questions. Very confusing.
Senator
Marlon, I'm lost. I'm lost. This administration, the Chief Secretary has made, as you rightly said, made very, what's the word you use? Confident. Made very confident statements as he was candidate. And I believe that those confident statements were some of the reasons why they were elected into office. And the statements are very categorical, very, very direct, very on point, very positive, very direct statements. And now we have a situation where we're going into 3 years hence, and we have a chief secretary that clearly, from the clip on the other media house, clearly is a bit uncomfortable in answering the question. Clearly is beating around the bush as it relates to what is to be done with a report that to this, and this is a report that we were told was sent to the DPP and Police Commissioner and Integrity Commission. This audit report, and I don't know which one was sent, whether it was because he's now saying that the report is finished. When was it finished? At what stage was it finished? And what is the report that was sent to these entities for the possibility of criminal charges to be laid and so on, and this is why I'm lost, because you were very positive in your statements as candidate.
Yes.
You're now Chief Secretary with all the requisite powers. With all the requisite powers to do what you said you would do when you were candidate, because you gave the assurance to the contractors that when the PDP wins the election, that they're going to be taken care of, they will be paid.
Regardless.
But it is clear to me that when he said that, he wasn't referring to the contractors in Tobago. Because clearly the only contractors that have been taken care of and have been paid are the contractors who are now engaged by the administration from elsewhere, from outside of Tobago. So I'm lost from that standpoint, and I'm also lost as to which audit report the Chief Secretary has sent to the requisite authorities, the police and the Integrity Commission and DPP and all of that. All those people. Am I mistaken?
No, you're
right. He said that he was sending these reports to all of these individuals. And to this date, we have seen nothing coming out from these individuals as to whether, one, if they received a report from the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, and secondly, if there's anything in the report that requires action. And the Chief Secretary is constantly putting the bar higher than he can reach. So I think there's a saying that says don't write a check that your mouth can't cash or something. Right, and that is what we've seen. Chief Secretary his utterances cannot be backed up by fact or by evidence.
But the other thing is, the Chief Secretary spoke about affairs in the report being completed. That's another thing. It could be a phase and not the report being fully completed.
He said a phase first, and then he said the second phase has now been completed.
So is there a third?
So it's an next tranche of
No, but he sent the report to the entities. Okay. That's what was said. So I don't know which phase of the report was sent.
Remember for AudioGate, that was also said a complaint was made, and then the officials at the TTPS said no such complaint has been laid.
You see, what we are seeing, and we've seen consistently, is that this Chief Secretary and this administration has no credibility. They have no moral authority to speak on anything. And I heard the Chief Secretary use the word truth in a statement where he was lying. Because this is the same person who said to the public, all contractors will be paid. And the same person is saying to the public, I will pay now some, but we litigating. With all these different criteria now, where were all these?
What was the basis for the litigation?
What's the basis for it?
And what is the basis for the payment? Because to me, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
It's either you're litigating,
yes, or you're paying.
Or you're paying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we want a clear answer as to whether, after sending the report to the requisite government entities, whether you got a response.
Did they acknowledge?
What are you speaking about?
I'm talking about the DPP and all of them.
Yeah.
If you when you sent the report, did they acknowledge receipt?
Yeah.
And this is an administration that also campaigned on being very transparent, because you come back to the point that the deputy then candidate, the now deputy chief secretary, said that one of the intentions was to set up a website so that we could see everything that's going on.
Have you seen that?
What website? Yeah. It's on the dark web. Clearly on the dark web, because nobody has seen it. So I don't know. So that's my concern. My concern is, you said that you submitted the report to the entities, and I think it's the minority has always said that if persons are found to be culpable, then okay.
Let the chips
fall.
But you can't. But what we have right now seems to be the carrot and a stick kind of behavior with the chief secretary. Every time he's asked the question about the audit, the goalpost keeps moving.
It's a dance.
Yeah. My thing as well is the same vigor that was used to present the preliminary, because when a preliminary audit is concluded, then the findings of the preliminary audit, the auditor or whoever is the person conducting the audit will seek verification, will seek information, so that you speak to the contractors, speak to officials at the division to validate the information. And of course, if the information if the queries that were put forward in the preliminary could be verified, then most of the queries come up. So it's like the Auditor General will do a management letter identifying details of findings, and then documents may be produced. So in the final audit report, some of these things in the management letter is no longer in the final audit report, because the auditor is satisfied that based on the information that is produced subsequent to the preliminary, that they don't have the concern. So it's not material enough to include in the final
report.
So now our final report is here. Well, there were queries from the preliminary. The queries may or may not have been answered. If there are payments being made, Mr. Chief Secretary, let it be known with the same vigor that you produced the preliminary audit. What is the final audit? And is this the final audit, or is this a phase or a phase in the audit?
Phase in the final audit.
Because there were 4.
Yes.
4 phases or 4 audits?
4 audits.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 audits.
Okay.
I don't know if 2 lost their way. But we are asking for clarity on that, and we trust that at some point in time the Chief Secretary will share the information with the public through the media. Speaking about lacking credibility, shifty with responses to answers, to questions, and not being able to hold fast to commitments. I want the director to play the very next clip of that same interview with another question that the Chief Secretary was asked. And I think we'll have some very interesting comments after this. Mr. Director, you could run that clip, please.
There isn't a reshuffle again. The reshuffling is not taking place again. That's asking for a friend and friends.
The last time I checked, sir, there is one person responsible for reshuffling, and that's the Chief Secretary. I see that there is heightened anxieties and excitement about reshuffling. I have had meetings and conversations with all secretaries individually. I have spoken to the team as a collective. We have our dates already set. We have our program of work commensurate with that date set. And so you will, in short order, see the strategic moves of the government.
So like the audit, which we have been dragged out for the longest while, probably at the end of the first year of their existence.
A reshuffle will come soon.
And then we heard coming out, I think, out of a mandate Monday, again it was bandied about. And then the Chief Secretary made several announcements.
That it will come soon.
It will come soon. This interview was 2 days ago, a day ago.
No, last week.
Last week, Thursday or Friday, was it?
Yeah, I think it was about Thursday
Yeah.
last week, yeah.
So then I'm just ensuring the date so that we know that this is not an interview that's a year old.
That's very current.
And whilst many persons in Tobago, the anxiety was high because you were waiting to see, coming out of the plethora of mistakes and missteps by several secretaries, where everybody, I think, on the island is satisfied that we need to move some people. We have the Chief Secretary saying again that he spoke to them individually,
And collective.
spoke to them collectively, and that soon
He said they have a date.
they have a date.
So listen. So, okay, as he rightly said, the one person that has the responsibility for the reshuffle is him.
Yes.
And I believe that the Chief Secretary will try and move around some pieces. Yeah?
When, boy?
When is not the issue. I believe he's going to try. My take on it is a reshuffle is not going to make much of a difference. All the holes are wrong and all the pegs are square.
Square. Simple.
And so no matter how you try to fit, a square peg cannot fit in a round hole. So whether the Chief Secretary moves this secretary or that secretary and puts them in that, we have how many secretaries do we have? We have
Clearly not enough.
we have a bunch of secretaries who have underperformed for the last 2 years.
Yes.
And so if you move underperformers,
Watch me work.
if you move underperformers, what is the theory? Peter's what?
Peter's principle.
Peter, they've reached the maximum.
Peter's principle.
And so if you reach your maximum, you think moving you to another area is going to cause you suddenly to become miraculously
Functional and effective.
and efficient? It's not.
I hear what you're saying, but I also feel that some attempt must be made to salvage the whole mess and mishap that has been happening. Something must be done. Something has to happen. Something has to give. It cannot be that every single division is one thing after the other. I swear everything that this administration puts their hands to,
Fails.
mashing up, breaking up, bacchanal.
But what's the common denominator, Madam Councillor? What's the common denominator? Is that is the one party? So the reality is, even if there is a challenge with the administration, if every division has a challenge, and you're correct, if every single division has a challenge, if you move the secretary from a challenge division to another challenge division, you're still going to end up with the same result.
And Senator and Minority Councillor, I want to, as we on that note, I want to address something very quickly. Last night I heard on another program, current affairs program, that doesn't do as well as ours. Right here on this network. They don't do as well as ours, probably, because primarily the content of the discussion is never really much sense. But on that program last night, I heard a gentleman who operates within the accounting environment of the THA say that he don't know where this administration does get the money from. But as far as he's concerned, look, you don't hear nobody getting paid late, and you don't hear people crying again. But I want to, he is responsible for finances and shifting and so on. I want to say to that particular gentleman, a very good friend of mine, that particular gentleman and all of Tobago, that what he forget to tell Tobago last night sitting on that said chair is that this administration has consistently gotten more allocation
But
So when you're saying that you don't know where they're getting the money
but
from,
go back to where.
well, going back to
It's a
that,
parliamentary allocation. If you're unsure where the money coming from,
it's coming from central
it
government.
comes from the
And they getting more.
allocation.
I see.
Yes, and consistently over the 2 years that they
Yes.
have been in office, they have received year on year more allocation than the previous
200 million in the
administration.
first.
Sorry, I'm shaking my head. Sorry, Madam Councillor. Go ahead.
So I guess if the person is unsure, it came from the parliamentary allocation,
Yeah.
which is approved annually.
Trying to
And the
make
budget
Tobagonians think that, well, this administration doing such a remarkable job of managing the finances and everything being paid for. And
But every time
So-
you
so
turn around,
we
people
not-
not being paid. Two fortnights, 3 fortnights, up to 4 fortnights, persons
Take a
are
year
being
for
paid.
people to
The
get heritage
typical
money.
chamber, precisely people singing
I don't
that
understand
song,
what-
and they're still not able to get their money. After the secretary would have promised that they would have gotten their money at the end of January,
January,
we are now into March. Contractors are saying the Tobago Chamber would have had a press conference about 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
complaining about the lack of payment and
Yes.
the multiplier effect that it has on the Tobago business sector.
All I have to say is that this administration is exhausting.
listen now.
Keeping up with the administration and their failings and their missteps and their
Tiring.
it's tiring, because when you think you're out one fire here or you deal with something here, you can't keep up
Yeah,
with
it's
the
difficult.
failings, you know. It's one after the next, just keep rolling, and that's the point I'm making. You have issues in every single division.
So we come out of Carnival, Big Bacchanal, February Carnival.
What are we rolling to? Roll straight into what? We carry
All kind of
We
thing.
roll to the road.
road, the
Then
jazz.
we are rolling into
Jazz.
We just keep rolling.
Old Man River.
Yeah, and that before that was Heritage.
Heritage.
And before that was Carnival, October.
October Carnival. When are these people going to settle down? And I mean, I want to preempt whatever it is the goodly Chief Secretary is going to come to say to us tomorrow
Tomorrow is
morning.
damage control.
Damage control. That's our going
Tomorrow is damage control. Trying to plug holes in a leaking ship. Because that is what's good. Because listen, I have never seen an administration have to treat with so much litigation
so much.
within a 2-year period. And people want to say that the chief secretary is so embattled and the administration is so. It is of your own doing.
Correct. You took your hands
Exactly.
at the last sitting or a couple sittings ago. A question was asked to the Secretary of Infrastructure in terms of that matter with the EMA and all those matters. It's millions.
Over $1 million.
$1 million.
The THA had to spend in court.
And they continue to have matters
Go back
in
to
the
the court.
court.
And you know what's the challenge that's coming?
EMA matter.
You know the challenge that's coming for any administration going forward is that there are so many wrongfully dismissed employees of this
Yeah.
before
That has
the industrial court that have taken matters to the court.
Yeah.
So when you start to add up, when the court
Millions.
starts to make its judgment on these dismissed workers, where are we going to end up with our finances? If you've already spent over $1 million in court
on one matter.
on one matter, and as I said this morning, if you did the work correctly, you would not have ended up in court.
Stop
If
trying to
you're
justify
trying to justify your wrong actions
wrongdoing.
by stating that people are against, that the PNM is against development and against the road. The PNM is not against the road. The PNM is against you making poor decisions in the road construction.
PNM had
against you
offered to
being
build the road.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Poor
Free of
decisions.
charge to Tobago.
So the first poor decision you made was to say you are going to spend out of your allocation
Yes.
to build a road that the central government had given a commitment to build as part of the airport project. And so you made that poor decision. For whatever reason, for whatever lucrative reason, you made that decision, and then you decided to start the construction of the road without the requisite approvals. And so what you feel gonna happen? You fly in the face of the EMA with the stage in the sea. What was the other one? There was another issue. There's another issue there.
Actually said that he was in the meeting and he had to show the EMA the
error of the ways. So you come to a situation. And so you come to a situation where a citizen reports is a concern that environmental laws are being flouted, and you just feel that the EMA is going to say, okay, right, all right, we ain't say nothing. And so the EMA did its investigation, recognized that they filed an injunction, the court heard the matter, and the court said you are in breach. Not the PNM. The court said you are in breach. And if the court said you are in breach, so you had to pay costs.
And more than the EMA and this injunction to stop the project pending the CEC approval, you also have the private citizen who is also bringing another injunction. So how many matters that are facing the court, and these matters aren't free. Legal fees are expensive, and particularly if you lose the case, you also have to pay the other side fees as well.
And you see, and so so this matter now with the private citizen. If the private citizen does not have a case, so the court said, we'll grant you leave to hear the case. If the private citizen goes to court and doesn't have a case, what's going to happen? The THA will then win that matter. I'm okay, fine, because the court has made a ruling. Judgment. But all we're saying, if you had done the work before, do the thing correctly, we would not have been in this position. Your 75% complete road would have been 100% by now. Because if you had done it correctly and you got all your requisite approvals, we'd have been driving on the road already, Marilyn.
And more than that, there are reports that work is still continuing.
Well,
so is that a further?
The court has to deal with that. The court will deal with that in its own. If there is actually a breach of the court order, the court has its own powers to treat with that.
So what we continue to see is a chief secretary and an administration whose word has no credibility. You can't believe anything they're saying. We're seeing damage control daily. We're seeing only 1 or 2 secretaries coming out and trying to lend their voice. But remember in the audio gate, and I think the chief secretary tired now, and he probably coming in the morning to say he's fed up because he complained in the audio gate that other secretaries shying away from the media. They don't want to address the media. They don't want to treat with issues. But we're seeing the same thing because there's only 1 or 2 secretaries that we actually seen coming forward in a desperate attempt not to explain the rationale for the what they're doing, but to justify doing something wrong. And the Secretary of Infrastructure was right in this studio on an interview on the morning show, and the interviewer asked him, so isn't it wrong?
Yes. And Marla,
isn't it wrong?
I'm happy that you raised that, because what we are seeing consistently is not a defense of action or saying that we did not do, but what we are seeing is persons trying to defend the actions by saying they did this.
They did this.
The former administration, rightfully or wrongfully. And the thing about it is, if it was wrong then,
how could it be right now?
Right now.
Well, we fix it.
And you campaigned against it. You said that the PNM did A, B, C, D wrong. And when we get in, we are going to do A, B, C, D right. But you've gone in and you've done wrong, and you're saying, well, all you do it and trying to justify it.
Without proof,
right.
But that's it.
Without proof. As we heard even on Sunday, and I didn't even pull those clips, but I'm certain many persons would have heard on the press conference. This is the same secretary who sat comfortably in a pre-election studio forum and took time to explain the process of building another economy and spiriting away funds. And when you do that, and when you give contractors outside of Tobago the contracts, you are damaging the economy in Tobago.
Guess he's building his economy.
Folks, we have some pressing bills to pay. We are going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to shift gears a bit because we know we jazzing up the thing a little bit here tonight in the next segment. I don't know if that's jazz up or jazz down, but right now in Tobago, jazz is just ending with a question mark. So folks, we're going to be right back. Stay locked on, stay locked on. Share the live, share the live. See you soon.
It's March Madness at Standard Distributors Limited. Get $100 back for every $1,000 you spend. Major appliance deals on Frigidaire, Hyacinth, Samsung, and more. Plus, same day financing options available. Don't miss out. Sale ends March 31st. Standard, never beaten on quality and prices.
It's an ocean of love. All that we align to the stars up above. Let we dance now. Take a chance now with me. And we go jump till morning. Look, the moon gone sleeping. Tell them we not leaving till the last drop of bacchanal is madness in the capital. So I feel like I run in tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. We with all my friends and them. No place like home. 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 We go jump till the moon come down. It's we who the stars shine on. Play a mass and break away. Freedom in with DNA.
Scrub Ties brings to you our organic fat dissolving shots. Yes guys, our lemon butter shot breaks down stubborn fat, tightens any loose skin while increasing your metabolism. No side effects, no downtime. We also offer cavitation, cellulite treatment, butt, breast, hip dip fillers, weight loss, fertility IVs, and much more. Contact us on 495-6624 or follow us on Instagram at Scrub Ties Body Contouring.
So folks, we are back this evening, and again we're gonna go right into it. We don't want to waste a minute this evening. We are shifting the conversation a bit. I think the point has in fact come across. We know this administration has no credibility. The Chief Secretary has lost all credibility. his ability or his attempt for damage control seems to be waning every time he comes to the media, especially for the fact that he never answers the questions. And it's easy to know when he is being very free-spirited with the truth, because it's at that point in time that he begins to stutter. It's the only time he stutters. So every time you hear him stutter, you know that whatever is going to be said, it can't hold water. But we would have, again, coming out of our press conference on Sunday, we would have heard some information last week, and we would have heard, even from last year, the Chief Secretary making some little utterances, but it is now official, as it would have been released through the Festivals Commission with an official release to the public, that there will be no jazz festival in Tobago this year. We exited the segment previously by collectively agreeing earlier on that everything that this administration has touched, they have destroyed. They have brought it right down to zero, whether it's the divisions, whether it is different sectors on the island. And now we're seeing the scathing attacks continue to where Jazz Festival, the loved Jazz Festival, the people in the east side, and I want to remind people in Speyside, especially Speyside, Charlottesville, where the reggae night is normally hosted, that you would come out and it would be celebrated. That was a big thing, traffic for hours. This, remember, the Chief Secretary is a wee boy from Speyside. And he took it, he didn't even miss a heartbeat to pull something so critical.
That was a stimulation for the economy in Speyside.
For Speyside, people used to make thousands of dollars selling not just food, but all kind of promotional items and
accommodation and
children.
You talk about accommodation as well.
All kind of thing.
Yeah.
More than music.
More than just music.
Mm-hmm.
This may have even been the first influx. If Manta Lodge could have even be operationalized, this was an ideal opportunity to follow the place. And remember, Speyside, Palativale, Lansome, Charlottesville people, this is a homegrown Chief Secretary. And what has he done for that district since? Absolutely nothing. But we're going to go to a short clip and hear what general conversation, what people have been saying about this decision to pull jazz from not just the calendar, but it seems to be a permanent, they try to bury jazz. But we'll talk about it a bit more when we come back. Mr. Director, on the clip, please.
So I said there, we cannot lose the jazz brand. I said it, you know. And for those who understand, when you're selling a destination, St. Lucia Jazz is what attracts people to St. Lucia during that time. So there's a season for it. We have adopted it and have done well over the years. Missed the best time, they said, in the jazz and so on, when it was under CLICO. And I'm saying if we, the THA, and you know, and then I'll speak to that whole the PNM saying that they want jazz. You know, if they had go ahead and do jazz, they would say, why are they spending all that money on jazz? Now, the thing about this please is that you can't please everybody, that's why you have to please yourself. However, you cannot lose the brand. Full stop. Right. What was incumbent on the THA was to seek sponsors, seek other interests, right back to the same, beg them please, look, we are going to partner to keep this event alive because it brings what it brings to Tobago. You cannot sit back and say, I have no job because you have the money for it. And then you fork out 15 million to pay people. It means therefore you have money somewhere hidden. However, at the end of the day, I am not trying to rationalize why and so on, but you have to bring, you have to bring reason why you're not having it. However, the thing about being in office is to use your office. You have your secretary make the necessary calls. I'm calling from the Chief Secretary's office. Is this CLICO? Or is this Ansa Makal? Or is this so-and-so? And you call up these big conglomerates. You're offering them something for them to invest in this event, it will take rocket science. We as a small group just call up people and get them to be part of and sponsor and all kind of thing. You telling me we cannot keep the jazz festival? However, right, let me cost the PNM now. No, I'm saying, all they want to keep jazz, right? They want back the jazz, and when they go back in power, hello, is the same thing can be done? You and I start a brainstorm whether we could bring Buju Banton if it's too late. To call Buju Banton manager and ask him, please, hello, how much it costs for you to bring her here? What you require? Put you up, fence around space side. The thing is, all you have to do is have the will. It's not difficult, and you have an office that have power. So, if the PNM feel that they could do it, or the opposition and say, oh, they do it now. Yeah?
Well, the one thing I hope is that we don't have to hear that host apologizing again for his statements. I trust that nobody calls and says that he shouldn't have said this and he shouldn't have said that. But some very, very interesting points they made. And again, that is essentially what has been echoing on the ground. People are shocked. People are flabbergasted at this decision to stop jazz.
But you would have heard the Chief Secretary saying some time ago that they want to get out of the whole jazz and they're looking for private investment. But what we didn't see is any real action to get the private investment. We didn't see any call for proposal.
Nothing out in the public, tender.
Yes, nothing to attract a private investor. Since you want to get out of the jazz, what are you putting in place to achieve what jazz was intended to? And basically, jazz was a marketing tool to promote destination. Yes, and as a part of the product development for our island. And offspring of that was creating economic activity in the various districts, because jazz started off with 3 nights of activities, and it evolved over time to about 9 nights. So you had like approximately 2 weeks of activities. Speyside came into being, Castara, Signal Hill, and it was also an opportunity, apart from providing economic activity in the communities, you also got the opportunity to showcase talent.
Your local
talent. So you saw some people, I remember going to that Signal Hill Jazz for the first time, and you saw some Tobago talent you didn't know existed.
Correct.
And bringing out that local talent, also exposing persons to, you know, that whole community tourism. Because you go to Castara, you experience the whole dirt oven bread. You get, you know, involved. Experience the village life. You drink the fish broth from the fisherman. And you go to Speyside. I remember spending hours in traffic going to Speyside.
If you're not in early.
Listen, and that was part of
you stay out.
Yeah,
and people excited.
Yes, and I've also experienced being in traffic so long that I turn around.
That's the excitement of jazz.
So you no longer have jazz. What do you replace this with?
I want to ask you a question. And I'm glad you started at that point, Minority Councillor. And after listening to the minority leader give us a very, very in-depth chronological presentation on Sunday in terms of where jazz began under the CL Financial Group and so on, and then the willingness of the THA not to allow the model to collapse, taking it over and being the one spearheading. The question is, not just us here tonight, but to all of Tobago, this is yet another critical decision that the Chief Secretary has made without consulting anyone.
Correct.
And it's not
who did he speak to?
Yeah, because one of the I hear them touting, for instance, what Starfish is doing. Here's some of the supporters, even the Deputy Chief Secretary, talking about time for the private sector to step up and so on. The reality is we've always had fringe jazz events.
Precisely.
So, Starfish had it before.
Always.
Yes.
Mount Irvin.
Every year.
You've always had.
Always had it.
You've always had. But you see, what has always been significant is that you need a huge event to draw the people together.
That's the pull.
And then the experience now speaks to right. So even if I go international night, it may have something during the day
That I could attend.
that I could go attend
Something
and then get
else.
ready for a big artist. And the thing about it is we've missed the mark by just dropping this thing, not understanding how critical it is for the entire island.
Yep.
You know, we used to say there was a statement that we had that Tobago was sink.
Yeah.
We had these
Or lean.
or the island got tipped a little lower down on the southern because of the amount of people that and we fail to realize the bigger picture and it speaks to and I want to re-emphasize what I read this morning from the report that speaks to a macroeconomic. I look the economist here, the finance lady here. It speaks to a macroeconomic conversation.
Yeah.
Because you, as the THA, you are the enabler. So you create the environment, and
For
that
economic activity
environment
to take
then
place.
spins out like you're dropping a pebble in a pond.
Yes, the ripple
The
effect.
ripple effect, right? And I see somebody even talk about the sauce lady. So right
Yes.
out to the sauce vendor who comes and sets up outside
The tree
the
bucket.
event. They are all losing revenue because there is no event, you know.
But more than that, I have information where persons have indicated that they had bookings for that period.
Right?
No,
That
there's
cancelled.
no jazz. Of course, it's cancelled.
Yeah.
You see, and the fringe events will happen. Nobody's saying, unless that we are not saying.
But what is the driver to the island?
What is the driver?
That's the point.
Driver
That's the
to
point.
island.
Because we are not saying, don't look at the private sector. We're not saying that.
No,
But
we're
what we're
not saying
saying
that.
is have a conversation with what is the plan to transition from you to the private sector. What's the plan? You just say that's it. We done.
But remember,
2 months
Senator,
And 2 months
2 months
before the
before.
event is
remember this same chief secretary, and I hope he treated all this in the morning, you know. I hope he treats it all this. I don't know if that is a 3-hour program, but I hope he treats it all this. This same chief secretary said, and we have him on record, that he has at least 3 verbal proposals
for events. Yeah.
to take over jazz. He said that just about a month ago, earlier this year, that he has about 3 on the other network. He has about 3 verbal, and the interviewer asked him, but you said last year that you would be looking for people to be interested. And after a whole year, you're saying you only have
Because
verbal proposals.
Yeah, but did you see
They're lazy.
But the thing about it is, did you see
They did
any
nothing.
formal request going
No.
out anywhere to get a formal
No.
proposal?
It's the same way they're running the division of infrastructure. It's just conversations happening and promises.
And the other thing that comes out too, what is the role of government in driving economic activity? Because if you are saying, and the minority leader said it, if you are saying that one jazz is not sustainable, then
We have to
at the
prove
same
that.
reason- yeah, but Carnival. Why have a product called Carnival?
Why have the October Carnival?
Why have October Carnival? Why have Easter activities? Why have a number of but even why do you have government services?
But then the other thing, minority councillor, is I remember sitting in a joint select committee with the technical advisor to the Secretary for Finance, and the technical advisor reminded us. This was the first JSC with tourism.
Yeah.
And we were treated with same jazz festival from last year and October Carnival. And the technical advisor to the Secretary for Finance and Economy said to us on that JSC that events are not about making profit. Events are about creating the environment.
But
No,
what
we
is
knew
the
that.
role- What is the role of government?
But you have to create the environment. So if you are okay, and even the report spoke to 2017, you would have put in about $12 million was the budget. They averaged that about 10,000 people 10,000 plus people on the island in 2017. The average spend based on the report was at 1,000 plus. The average spend of those 10,000 people was $1,000, $1,000+ for the jazz experience. And so the math worked out to be in somewhere in the vicinity of about $14 million was generated. About $14 million came into the Tobago economy in
that could have been
2017 jazz.
So it was more
That could
than
have been
what you were
quantified.
It was more than what your budget was. So the thing about it is, when you speak to event tourism and what the enabling environment creates, it creates an opportunity for significant economic activity.
Yep.
Why is it all of the other islands are pushing their jazz festivals?
Festivals.
Or even the indigenous
Or the
festivals.
indigenous festivals, and Tobago is looking to close down festivals without even having a plan as to move it to the other level.
But Senator Lawrence, if that is the case that was made before the Joint Select Committee, then what's the real rationale to not
For shutting
have
it
jazz?
down. Exactly.
Because if you are boasting
Well, the
that
senior technical advisor not advising.
jazz created economic activity that was greater than
Then your budget.
Than your budget.
then what is the real reason for
Yep.
shutting down jazz?
Laziness. Not having,
Laziness is
not
the reason
having,
for everything.
not having the requisite technical skill or the willingness to employ the technical skill to get an event. And even, and I'm saying again, even if you feel, because each administration has a right to go in the direction of their choosing based on their
Yeah, agreed.
So even if you feel that you do not want to spend $14-15 million on an event, okay, but then put your heads together. If there's anything there, put your heads together and come up with a roadmap to take the event from here. If you don't like it being here, come up with a plan to take it from here to go
What
here.
is the-
Don't just say
Oh, just-
we're not doing it no more, and then you leave a vacuum and you're now expecting the private sector to just jump in a month before.
And do what?
But don't expect to disrespect the Begonians by not saying to them, this is what we're going to do. What do you all think about it? At least consult the people in Speyside.
Because the thing about
Set up some tent in the savannah.
The thing about it is that there will be activities, there will be jazz activities on the island. But what we're saying is what kind of economic activity you're going to get, but you are not going to get the level that you have had in the past.
Exactly.
But
there's no pull.
Because there's no pull.
There's no pull.
So all we're saying is, okay, fine, you are in charge now, but what's your plan for it?
What is the bait?
So, Senator and Marlon, there's a whole report, and I think both the senator and the minority leader would have spoken about the report. There was a whole report done reviewing Jazz Festival, pros, cons, what went well, what didn't go so well, things that we needed to improve, and strategic direction that we need to take. Has the current administration looked at the report, reviewed the report, say, well, we could take these things, let us work on some things? Again, what is the basis for the decision?
Minority councillor did
What's
not
the
doing any
basis for the
work.
decision?
That's
And
too much
it
work.
goes back to
too much work for them.
my initial question. There is no jazz. What is filling the void?
Yeah.
You know the challenge I have? They're working, but what kind of work? And I know we didn't touch on this, but I want to speak to this. You have too many secretaries flying out of this country with large entourages, and nobody knows that they're out of the country. And nobody knows where they're going, nobody knows what they're doing. There is no report coming back to the country as to what the Secretary of Tourism right now is in Ghana. Was there a communication that says that the Secretary is going to ITBN? Right. Going to ITBN in Germany, and then from there she's going to Ghana? Was there any communication about other secretaries out of the country? Every single time members of this administration leave the island, we only know from pictures.
Is that on private business or official?
No, there was a picture with her sitting at a forum. We only know from social media, and this is the disrespect that this administration has
From day one.
for the people. You don't even have the courtesy to say that we are traveling and this is what we're traveling on for the benefit of the island.
These people operating like if it's their own personal business. They doesn't.
And that is the reason why governance is the way it is, because we have an administration that literally has no manners. Because that is what they do. They don't have the courtesy to the citizens of this island to say, this is what is happening, this is what is happening. So they could shut down jazz and not have a conversation. Because we're in charge, so we don't need to report.
We don't need to report.
Not have a conversation.
And you just take away.
And Senator, that same secretary, Tantrum Tashia, who we saw
Don't call
fly
the
off the
secretary no
handle,
nicknames.
fly off the handle in Jamaica, in the midst of a time when tourism was falling apart. While she was there doing that, we had an education crisis. Scarborough Sec open, Lambu open, student violence at the highest. Signal Hill trying to push a consultation. And the Secretary of Education drinking wine in Miami with a contingent of about 20 people.
And that's where the issue is.
And nobody knew.
So the island 9 out of 10 times, divisions 9 out of 10 times are on autopilot.
But where they getting the money from? The same money that they don't have. That they still can't pay people from Heritage.
Because the reality is, when you go on a trip and you take 15 people with you or 10 people with you, all the people are get per diem, you know.
Per diem. And
pay ticket for all them people.
we will do a breakdown
housing
of the program
Food
so
for
that
them
people will understand the kind of financial commitment.
That's the priorities, because while they're jetting, people can't get paid.
People can't get
While
paid.
they're jetting,
Yeah.
But you know
while
what?
they're jetting, people's rooms that have been booked.
Cancelling.
And it is the hardest thing for me, the disrespect for the people. You don't even have the courtesy
To say.
to say that but you see,
What I want, Senator, for Tobagonians, all of Tobago, to come together with is to demand reports that are outstanding from since that Dubai trip. Since the trip to Dubai, where the then political leader and deputy chief secretary was asked by a media person, well, give us a report.
But the question
And he said he's a senior member of the assembly.
But
You don't
the
need to
question
report.
You don't need to
was
report.
asked- The question was asked in the House.
In the house as well.
the Prime Minister,
no
as
report.
big as the Prime Minister is, every single time the PM travels,
He comes back with
As he
a report.
reached
no, hold on. Before he leaves, he say, I'm going
Right.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. When he comes back, 9 out of 10 times you get a press conference as to what
At the airport.
the achievables at the conference or wherever he went. When he's
keep
going
them
on
out.
vacation, he says he's going to be going on vacation. He's going for a medical. He's telling the country I'm going
Yes.
for medical. But you have an administration that refuses to account to the people. They're not accounting for contracts. They're not accounting for travel. They're not accounting for nothing.
Nothing. The conversations that were had. I mean, I listened to the PM's press conference coming back from Guyana, and how detailed he spoke to the conversations they had, the conversations about energy, the conversations about eco, the conversations about everything. And the outcomes,
And the
what we expect to see, even when one of the reporters asked the question about, I think, crime, and if that was tabled, he went in depth to say, we didn't discuss it on this occasion, but it is not something that we have shelved. And there is a high level of accountability.
And they say,
But even I recall under the past administration, of course, the traveling was not as much as it currently is. But once you traveled, you had to present a report to Executive Council upon your return.
Must.
So I am not sure what is currently happening. And one, are there Executive Council meetings?
Okay. We have an Exec Council. When did us meet? Wednesday? Who does be in the country for the meeting?
you know, some a viewer
So
rightly said,
what are we fixing?
a viewer rightly said that this administration is governing at complete variance to what they campaigned on. And so when they political leaders said in the press conference that it was a hoax. It was really a hoax.
Hoax.
This administration has played a boogeyman trick
On
on
Tobago.
all of Tobago.
Yeah.
They sold a product that is now.
You having buyer's remorse?
I'm not even buyer's remorse. The product is not even a refurbished thing they're selling. The product is. I have never seen a grouping of people sell a product to people, and when the person buy,
No alignment.
you can't get no warranty. It a no manual in the thing. They say the vacuum.
actually get the product?
They said no, you get the product. You know. They said the vacuum cleaner was supposed to suck from point A to point B.
Yeah.
When you do the hose and fit it in the right place,
nothing works.
Nothing works. Nothing. I have
Nothing.
never seen something
So you
like.
just get pieces. You
And
get
then-
a whole product. You just have pieces of
And then when you talk about it, the people responsible for servicing it and making sure it functional, they clueless. They clueless. Every division in the THA. And that is why we have the theme, and I'm glad the director pulled it up there, a THA in crisis.
So a bunch of people unfit to lead.
Unfit to lead,
From day
incompetent,
Day one.
lacks capacity, and I want the Chief Secretary to answer all these questions. What is the capacity of people? If you, up to now, we can't see education produce the Tobago-centric curriculum. After 2 years plus and 2 committees installed, we don't know what it is yet. Up till now, we can't see the Watch Me Work man. Build not even, not a house. The Watch Me Work, and when the minority was trying to educate,
He's supposed to be on sometime this week too.
well,
Damage control again.
I want to hear him. When the minority tried to educate him on fiscal matters and looking to try to create a balance, he was arrogant. Watch me work.
We are watching.
It has been 2 years plus. We still watching. We start to wear glasses.
Literally.
Literally, we start wearing glasses to see this man work, not a house. Agriculture fall down.
And after the first year, they were supposed to build 1,000 in 4 years.
1,000 in 4
After
years.
the first reading of the budget, it came down to 800.
Yes.
When the budget comes again, I am sure it will be less.
Yes.
And it's the same thing we said from inception.
Yeah. Tourism.
Realistically.
The first time in the history in tourism,
Where the 100,000
300 passengers get cancelled. They cancel the bookings.
Yeah, but remember,
And the 100,000 visitors.
Well, listen. I look forward going on a next travel market. I'm looking forward to airlift.
Yeah, but Senator, what is
So-
the
so
plan?
just
What
now,
is the
I
plan?
just-
What is the plan that we are going
So
out
you don't
there
think
with?
that this visit was to do damage control from the fallout of the last set of
Listen,
promises?
I
that
could
been
look for something.
delivered?
I could look for anything, you know. That don't mean it materializes. I could look for anything. But we are getting value. My point is we're not getting value for
We're
money.
not getting value for money.
And I don't. My mother would always tell me, don't say that. Don't say you don't care. But the reality is, we have a product on the island that required a boosting. The reality is visitors aren't coming, not because there is, some people like to say there is nothing to do, but your quality room stock will always be an issue. If you don't have quality room stock, you can't fill the front of the plane, you can't get airlift. We've gone every other island in this Caribbean
Watch
chain
me.
has increased their
Upward,
numbers.
post-COVID.
But
Watch
Tobago
me.
just, Tobago, I don't know.
What is Tobago's
Like goat
plan?
bite way.
What is
Because
Tobago's
because every other, we were ahead of Grenada. Grenada is now ahead of us.
Yes.
You look at every Dominica building a new international airport, you know.
Yep.
But remember,
Building an airport in a mountain, and I'm cutting down mountain to build an airport, you know.
we have stopped airlines from coming here. Yes? What is
St.
our
Vincent
plan?
upgrade the airport, innit?
St. Vincent have a Sanders.
St. Vincent. Well, I saw it according to Max with my own eyes under construction.
Tell us something. Huh?
And they launch.
Yeah, but there has to be a
Come on,
plan,
man.
and that is one of the things that this administration is lacking. It seemed to be a governance by VAPs. There
but like,
must be a
seems-
plan.
But a campaign without a plan, Councillor.
Yeah, but
Maybe
what
campaign without a
are we
plan.
going to do in terms of the rebound of tourism? Under the past administration, there was a 3-year rolling plan. If you don't have a plan, at least go back to that plan.
Yep.
Dust it out.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. IPNM plan.
But they wouldn't understand it
Something
either.
that will
But they don't
drive
see.
what you're doing. And governance is a continuum. Take the PNM plan, dust it out.
Because you didn't come with one.
They didn't come with
Because you didn't come with one and then they fire everybody who had the capacity to do it. So if you didn't come with a plan, and then the people who have the plan or who were part of developing the plan you get rid of, how are you governing? What's it? What are we going?
And that is why we are seeing what we are seeing today.
And you know what's interesting in that statement you make, Senator? Where obviously we see
I shouldn't say fire.
And
They
we
were
hear-
restructured.
restructuring. Where we hearing every time there's a problem, that is the public servants, this and it's people who doing this and they're fighting and they fighting the administration and the door. So who really vote for them? If the whole public service is PNM, who voted for them?
That they have 14-1.
That they at 14-1.
But at the same time, before
foolish.
Before the election, they say blame who?
Blame the liar politicians.
Politician.
So you see, when I say it, it's not that I'm just being harsh on the program. All I'm doing is repeating what the then candidate for Palatuvia Lansamy Speyside, now Chief Secretary, would have said. Blame the liar politician. And I'm glad he used that word, because that term, that word has stuck on him. He's the one who introduced us to liar politicians.
But colleagues, I feel very sad for our island. There's nothing new happening. There is really no there's no hope. There's really no hope. When you look around, what's happening? What new is taking place on the island? I said to somebody that sadly the airport terminal, the new airport terminal, is going to be a white elephant for a little while. And the reason I say that is because we've built, the government has made a significant investment on the island with regards to building a new terminal for capacity. But because we don't have the room stock, I'm yet to hear what's the situation with this new hotel, this project that was supposed to start last year in Kildoon. Right? You don't have the room stock. You're not going to get the airlift. And as I had to make a comment on a post, yeah, the village tourism of Castara and Charlottesville is an excellent niche market. But the reality is tourism is about numbers. And so you have your visitors who want the resort experience.
Yeah.
You want your visitors who want to be in a 500-room resort. Say, I went to a Sandals or a Hyatt.
Yeah.
You have your people like that. And in order for the industry to be viable, you have to have numbers. You have to have heads on beds. Because you can't talk about tourism as an industry when you only bringing in, what, 1,400 people for a month?
And we are double check them figures.
Right.
So no figures coming out of that division. Yeah. We could take
that's
serious.
Right. So so what kind of product are you having when your numbers are like that? What economic activity would 1,400 people generate for it to be considered a viable?
There has to be a plan to improve that.
But we know that.
Mind they shut down tourism too because it's not sustainable. Anyway, folks, we are 3 minutes past 9:30. Where does the time go? We really, appreciate those who would have been logged on joining us this evening for these discussions, and for many people getting some eye openers, because a lot of things that we've been able to share and discuss this evening, persons may not have known even coming out of the report on Jazz Festival and so on. Senator, Minority Councillor, your closing remarks quickly as we head out.
I am just, as we've said over and over again on this program, I've said it. We just want the administration to settle down. I don't know. Let me
I
take
think
that.
you should rephrase that.
Let me take that.
Yeah, take that back, man.
We have seen
Yeah.
that
The inability.
this administration does not have the ability
Yeah.
to settle down and work. They are in campaign mode from the time they got into office, and they remain in campaign mode. I just feel it.
Claudio Gates said that.
I just feel it for everybody involved, every citizen on this island who's feeling pain from this administration and their policy decisions that do not benefit the average man on the street. This was the administration that campaigned on bread and butter issue, but they have now become a steak and lobster administration.
Knife and fork.
And first class and business class administration. And so all the issues they campaign on about bread and butter and fixing, they're clearly fixing themselves. And that is the sad reality of what we're dealing with in Tobago right now.
Minority Councillor.
Disappointing, disheartening, disbelief. But this administration got an overwhelming mandate. And the promises that were made to the people have all been broken. Everything you promise, you have reneged on your promise. And it is blatant for all to see. So it is clear that as an island, we have a leadership crisis.
Yep.
As an island, we are seeing every day there's an issue in terms of governance with one division or the other. It's hard for us to keep up with the issues sometimes because there are so many coming at the same time. And it's sad. It's sad because people believed, people hoped, people got an assurance that things will be better. And for me, I am feeling as if it's a reminder for me of 2010. And it's a similar governance style of the United National Congress. And we are seeing and we are feeling, as Senator Lawrence said, we are seeing and we are feeling the hurt. You're feeling it. Move around Tobago. People are complaining left, right, and center. Every time somebody sees you, there's a complaint. And it's not a positive discussion. It's always something negative that affects them personally. Affects their well-being. And you're actually feeling the heaviness in the atmosphere. Ship up. Shape up, sorry. Or ship out. I think we have gotten to that stage.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Minority Councillor. And Tobago, everything that we discussed here this evening is your business. Be aware, be concerned, be able to speak up. Don't be afraid. Many persons have been speaking up and speaking out. This is your opportunity to continue to speak out. The Chief Secretary has indicated he is going to be coming back to the media. Let us all log on. Let's ask questions. Questions that even the interviewer not asking. Let's shoot some questions on the live. Because it's time that this administration, as the Minority Councillor says, shape up, which we know they have no capacity to do, or ship out. And shipping out seems to be a very viable option right now for this administration, the members of this QTP, TPP, whatever it is, party, that they even fooling their own members because up to now they can't bring a registration document. Up till now. But as we love to say, great is the PNM. Folks, I thank you for staying with us this evening, and I trust that you are better off now than when you started looking at the program. We continue to discuss the facts, continue to represent you, the public. Next Tuesday, we'll be at it again, and you're going to see us now starting to plot our way forward to indicate to you, Tobago, where we should ideally be as an island, where the policies of the People's National Movement can take us as an island. So we want you to stay particularly logged on. Follow this journey. We are going to take you all the way through. I'm Marlon David saying good evening and thank you for staying with us tonight. God bless. Stay prayed up. We are living in some challenging times. Have a good night.